Good morning, Jen.
Good morning. How are you?
Not too bad.
I have a Barbara SIP, SYP. Is that person a panelist or?
Yes, Barbara is with licensing.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Thank you so much. Awesome.
Good morning, Kurt.
Morning, Tony.
Just making sure we can all communicate here this morning.
Tony, we can see you, we can hear you, but we can't see you.
All right. Everyone that's on has been promoted except for Al. I have promoted him, but I think he just needs to accept.
Yeah, Tony, we can see you. We can see you now.
Good.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Happy New Year to you and your board and everybody else.
Thank you, Janina.
I'm just checking. Can anybody hear me?
You're all good
Am
from
I
my
on?
side.
Okay, and now I can, I'm having a lot of trouble with my computer. I just got home last night and everything is jammed up. But at least I'm on. Okay.
Thanks for being here, John. Where'd you go this time?
We were in London. We resumed our going to London at the beginning of January. We had had sabbaticals there and we used to go every year at this time and the pandemic stopped it.
Yeah, good.
But we started up again. So I didn't do anything for this meeting.
All right. We still need you.
You
Did you buy your book while you were over there?
I didn't even look.
You came back a day early. It wasn't for sale.
Well, John, you must have benefited from the favorable exchange of the U.S. dollar, right?
I haven't checked yet, but I think so.
Yeah, yeah.
I had a bunch of, the interesting thing is the last time, well, we were in London briefly in June, but the last time was the beginning of 2019. And I had a lot of British currency and apparently it wasn't any good anymore. They changed their currency. So I had to go to a bank and turn it in. They wanted to know if I was a customer. I said, no, but I got the money from their ATM and they exchanged it. The new British notes have a clear panel in it.
Oh,
That I guess makes it very difficult to counterfeit.
oh,
But just about anywhere you go, you don't, it's cashless there in London. Even if you go in for a cup of coffee or something, it's cashless. You need to use a credit card or ATM card.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
Right back.
How we doing? It looks like Al, Kurt, me,
Yeah, we have
Bob
the
Dome's
quorum's
away.
been met.
Richard. We're waiting for Richard. We need Richard, right?
I'm here.
Oh, there you are.
Way at the bottom probably somewhere.
No, you're there. It didn't have in my screen, it was blank. Good. Okay. Are we ready to go?
I don't see Bob Don yet, but I know Bob Doan is away, you said, but Bob
Yeah,
Don is.
Let's wait a minute or two for Bob Don. We definitely need him today.
Let's see, someone's calling in with a number.
There's Ken. Okay, Ken's there. Good. Okay.
Hi, good morning. This is Chris. I'm an attendee. I'm the one who called in from the number.
Chris, okay. Alrighty. Let's see.
Okay.
Happened to that.
Well, if we want to get started, we can, and we can reserve the LS for a few moments. But I think we need Bob today because Bob Doan's away.
There's
Well,
no
let's
one
get-
else in the room right now, so everyone who's on is here right now.
Right. Let's get started for what it's worth. And when Bob gets in, we'll move over there. I have set up an order on the agenda, or the way I think we should go today. We'll get our attendance or roll call, and then move on to complaints, then minutes, then legislation, and then the LS items. Still trying to stay a little bit in accordance with our past. I will say at the outset, with all the new names and people and sources of information coming at us seemingly from all different directions, I, for one, don't know if I got everything I need. And even late last night on the supplemental agenda, there's 2 items that I can't seem to find that I was supposed to review. I also noticed some overlapping assignments of applications to individuals, so I think we can resolve that. So anyway, let's start with the roll, and then I will check myself in. Bob Dunn, we're waiting for. John DeWolf.
Here,
Bob Doan is sunning himself in the east coast of Florida, but he did provide us a very detailed analysis of his review. Al Regina. I see your name, Al,
He's
I was
muted.
on mute.
but you're probably on mute. Kurt Smith,
Here.
Richard Swezak,
Here,
Rob Lewandowski.
Here.
And we got Al Regina again, but in 2 different places, but we're all ready. Oh, actually, I was reading from the minutes. Sorry. Okay. I think we have everybody present and accounted for. Just waiting for Bob Don.
I have someone calling in. Let's see if under a phone number, let's see who this is. I'm asking to unmute.
Hello there.
Hi, who's this?
This is Bob Don.
Perfect. All right, let me promote you.
Good morning, Bob. I'm checking you in. Thank you. All right, so now that we've got the meeting started and I've made my preliminary comments, we'll move on to the complaint report. And I gotta say again, I just don't know how to read this thing. So, Janita, let's give it a shot. And my question is always the same. C, open prior, closed current. I have no idea what that means to this review. It may not be significant because it looks like these have been resolved, but there are 3 on our list.
Yes, sir, they are. The open prior, closed current, open current, closed current, open prior, still open and stuff. Those 4 terms were created when the report was created by, and I don't know if you remember, the former investigations director, John Newman. These are terms that he and the gentleman who was with the IT department at the time came up with, and it's part and parcel of every report that I pull out of the computer data tracking system that DCP has for complaints and investigations. So basically it means we got it before this 2-month time frame, which is from November 1st of 2022 to the end of the year, which is December 31st of 2022. And for Al Regina, and I know he's always brought this comment up, I do not have a report created by the IT group yet that would be a cumulative report that would accurately report that, yes, there are files that we are still investigating that were open and that we received prior to November 1st of 2022.
Okay,
Open, current, remains open. It means in this 2-month time frame that we received a new complaint and it's open and it's under investigation. Open prior, closed currently. There are 2 files that were received prior to November 1st of 2022 that were closed, and the third one is it was received really within this time frame and it has been closed. When you come up and you follow across for the files, the investigator in his inspection said it was a civil matter dispute of facts. The engineer and the consumer are in court because the engineer is alleging that the complainant altered his documents, and the complainant is claiming that the gentleman didn't finish the job and she wants her money back. So it is in court. The gentleman is licensed, and it is a civil matter.
is this the second item on our list?
It would be when this would be number 1. This would be, yes, it comes in. It's 2022-48, a
Okay.
George Nestor.
Okay,
Okay. Then we
So-
come down to the
All right.
next file, which is 2022-75. The investigator closed it as a civil matter dispute of facts. The complainant signed the respondent's response that he provided to the department, and he sent a copy to the consumer, and the consumer has their survey. So this really, I believe, is resolved. So I'm not sure why it would say civil matter dispute of facts. It appears that it was resolved.
okay,
The next one involving this David Nafis, and I hope I said that last name correctly. Again, the investigator closed it that it was a civil matter dispute of facts between Mr. Nafis and the consumer complainant. And the investigator stated there's no proof that there was something wrong with the survey. The construction work has begun and the town approved the building permit.
okay,
And that would be for the 2-month time frame of this report, November 1st of 2022 through December 31st of 2022.
so in order for the third complaint to be taken off this list, you need some confirmation from somebody that they resolved it for sure, even
Right.
though the investigator says it doesn't appear that there's any reason for doing this.
Right.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, because if you got I believe I'm not a mind reader, but I believe the investigator might have listed it that way because there still might be some argument on the part of the consumer side that they, I'm grudgingly doing this, but I want my survey. And then they may have told the investigator, oh, by the way, I'm going to take the surveyor to court. Sometimes that happens. We do complaint mediation on a voluntary basis. We send a copy of the complaint with a letter to the party that the consumer or the third party person or the anonymous person complained about. And we ask them to read the complaint and provide a written response to us.
Okay, in this case, the investigator is saying there's nothing wrong here, guys. Everybody that's supposed to sign off signed off. The work is being done. I don't know why
Yep.
we're involved. Okay,
Right.
all right, good. I think that's sufficient. Any questions for Janita?
Nope.
All right, we appreciate the information. See how we can move it along.
Okay.
All right,
I
Thank
thank you,
you.
Mr. Chairman. Everybody
you.
have a good day.
thank you.
You too.
You're welcome.
I think the next thing we should do is move on to the minutes for the last meeting of December 6th. And while reading through, I noticed a couple of things that need to be corrected. On page 4, at the top of the page, I believe the notice about the motion is applicable to the last item on page 3, but I'm not sure. However, looking farther down the page, we have the same comment relative to the applications that I reviewed. And since I didn't deny the applications, that comment would be incorrect. So that's a note, that's something that needs to be corrected. So you see at the middle of the page below the approved class 4 license, those that I reviewed, it's noted that board member Swezak moved to deny. And that's the same comment as above. So that has to be corrected. I don't know what may have been recorded. It's just a duplication. And similarly, it may or may not be correct. I don't know. No, it's okay on page 6. Page 6, we had 2 different motions. Right, I stand corrected on that one. And then over on page 8, at the bottom of the page, I do recall that the last item on our agenda that day was Garcia Kenny, who we approved. It was reviewed by John DeWolf, but there's no reference to a motion being made on that last applicant. Okay, so those were my comments. I don't know if there were any others that anybody else noticed. So my corrections would be to amend page 4 of 8 underneath the applications reviewed by DeAndrea to properly note who made the motion in the second. I don't have that data with me. And then on page 8 to add the motion and the second and the resolution for Garcia Kenny.
Mr. Chairman, did you hear me that when the board members present at that meeting, I am not listed and I was in attendance. This is Ken.
You weren't listed as being president,
That's correct.
and you were.
Yes. You'll see I
Okay.
made a couple motions.
Yes, sir. Okay, so that should be on page 1.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Are there any other additions or corrections that should be made that we can review at our next meeting? If not, is there a motion to accept the minutes with the proposed additions and corrections?
So moved.
Thank you, Bob.
That's actually Kurt.
Thank you, Curtis. So we're going to table for the corrections. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Any objection? Hearing none, that motion carries. Then we had one item of correspondence from NCWS regarding the scheduling of different exams. I got to say also, it always seems that we leave out the subject of the sentence, but at the bottom of the page on page 1, they talk about pencil and paper registrations. But they never mentions the fact that April 13th and 14th would appear to be for structural, but regardless, that's it. Then the next one, spring registration, is it universal to all applications or is it still something relative to structural? I don't know. It's a little confusing. I guess somebody who's applying for the exam will be told on the website that that's what they're working on. Other than that, it's a notification of changes in the different modules for exams, when they will be taken, and what changes are occurring. So all boards and testing services have been notified. Then probably the most significant bit of our agenda today is the status rationale of these bills of interest. What appears to me is that somebody from NCWS contacted Jane Hardy, and I don't know if Jane's here or how she fits in, but they want to have a discussion about these bills. Maybe a year ago, we discussed this. John, you may recall this subject, the discussion about it appears as though we would be obligated to grant a license to somebody under certain circumstances, and relative to, or the intent was to make it easier for somebody in the military whose spouse was licensed in another state suddenly not able to work in Connecticut. So that seemed to be what it was intended to do. And yet they bounce around in this document, in these documents, referring to the Department of Public Health in some instances, and then trades licenses in others. And also, as I read it, we're talking about things that are dated back to October of 21. And so I don't know whether these things are current or if the NCWS has just become aware of them and would also like to understand the status in our state.
This is Paul Grabowski, and I could speak to this quickly
Thank
here.
you, Paul.
So we got back to him, and so he's pretty brand new with NCEES, and we met with him on Friday. Myself, Leslie O'Brien, our legislative director, and my supervisor Ryan Burns, the legal unit director. And he really didn't discuss these bills at all. It was really just a way for him to introduce himself to department staff.
Okay.
These are old bills, right? You have one that didn't become law, and then he actually submitted, it looked like, a public act from 21 as well. So, I mean, those didn't even really come up in conversation. So I think it was really just a way for him to talk to department staff and introduce himself as the advocacy and external affairs person over there.
Okay, so at the end of the day, Public Act 21-152 became law.
Yes, public act means it was a law. Yep, signed into law. That's right.
Okay, and then our discussion at the time, if I recall, was since the law still requires meeting certain requirements, then we still get to to review any of the applications that come before us. In other words, we have the right to assess the qualifications, the education, and require passing of the exams.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep, that doesn't change. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
and I think, Tony, Al Regina was instrumental in reviewing this for us at the time.
yes,
And that was his conclusion too, that, yeah,
Right.
it doesn't change anything that we do with regard to an application.
right. Okay. So nothing new. It's already been done. And we haven't had a case yet to challenge it. Right? We haven't had a test case and it hasn't come before us as though we're being demanded to grant an application, a license. Okay. That sounds good to me. Any further discussion? There's really no action for us. Just to make
Tony,
us,
that entire package of public acts and subsequent pages are all associated with the one public act. This is not multiple proposed acts or legislation.
what Paul
Yeah,
just
that's-
described or what I assume, Paul can please, maybe you can answer that, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's just the one public act that he's got in there from 2021. And then there was a proposed legislation. I think that was where you saw most of the Department of Public Health stuff, which was it's irrelevant for this board, right?
Okay, so that file number 342 is just, you said irrelevant, but it's in support of the final public act.
I don't know that it's in support of it. I don't know why he attached that one, to be honest. I think they had related language about military spouses. So he may have just attached that on there. I'm not quite sure, but.
Well, what I thought was appropriate, was great to read is that at least you have to have a graduation from the 8th grade grammar school. And I took that to be more toward the trades and apprenticeship, et cetera, but that it certainly wouldn't apply to our requirements based on our statutes. As weak as they may be, John. Right? We still got to have the right, the obligation to assess the qualifications of an individual who comes from another jurisdiction that may or may not have a license and didn't pass both exams. If you don't have the 2 exams, then we don't have to grant you the license. And I think I read that into this. So we'll see how it goes if it ever comes up. Because I can see it happening that you come forward and say, well, I got a license in Nevada and I didn't take either exam and I want a license here because your statute or your public act says that you have to give it to me. Well, at that time, we'll talk about it. Okay?
Yeah.
So let's move on. Now we're on our
Hey, Deb,
regular
you know,
agenda.
Tony,
Yes, sir.
I interrupt. I'm having, my connection is terrible, so I'm going to leave and try to come back.
Okay.
So here goes.
Okay. We'll wait a few seconds here and come back. Back, John.
I'm back. I hope it works better because I've had trouble with these board meetings. I don't have trouble with other Zoom sessions, but these board meetings lately, I'm not doing very well in terms of reception.
All right. Well, right now you sound good.
Okay, I'll see how you
What we're
sound.
going to do is going to go on to our regular agenda land surveyor items. And again, because I got information from a variety of sources, I hope I didn't miss anything, but on page 6 of our regular agenda, we had 4 applicants. The first one was for class 6, Van Velsor.
I've reviewed Van Velsor and I make a motion for approval under class 6.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Bob.
That was Ken.
Okay, sorry, I didn't look up fast enough. All right. Any discussion on Van Belser for Class 6 exam? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Again, our next application was Peter Webb. He requested a waiver of Part 1 reviewed by the LS members.
I reviewed Webb. Yeah, he's class 7. As has been our policy, we do not waive Part 1. Regulations say we may waive it. We never have. We have two options. We can transfer to class 6 and approve, or we can, what we probably should do is I'll make a motion to approve under class 7, no waiver, Part 1.
I'll second that also.
Okay, Ken, thank you. So, grant the Class 7 exam, no waiver. Okay.
Correct.
All right. All right, any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve the Class 7 exam without any waiver? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried on, that motion carries. The next applicants, two of them, Connor Richard Hill and Jeremiah Odine for Class 8 exam.
I reviewed those applications and recommend approval.
Thank
I'll
you, Ken.
second that.
Thank you, Curtis. All those in favor of the motion to approve, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. And then on our supplemental agenda, we had an application for either Ian Humphreys or Humphreys Ian, but I think it's Ian Humphreys for Class 14A license.
Motion to approve 14A for Humphreys.
Second.
Thank you, Ken. Any discussion there? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Now, did I miss any other LS items?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I think you got them all, Tony.
The other important item of surveying concern is that Mr. Curtis Smith has decided to go out to pasture. I don't know what else he might be doing, but he's going to resign his appointment. Or you haven't officially done it, or you tendered the offer?
No, I officially did with the governor's office, and they indicated they have a replacement.
And
They do?
That's what I'm told by the governor's office.
Okay.
so,
Bob Barron did offer to be suggested as a candidate as well. Bob was the head surveyor at DOT for many years.
okay, that may be, we don't know. We haven't heard any names, so that would be good regardless. I was afraid that it was going to be a long process, but it appears that we have some encouraging news. It will be
Yeah. Well, I'm glad too,
difficult-
because I'd
difficult
offer
to
to
re-
stay on, and
Yeah.
if necessary, I'd stay on. But it sounds like my correspondence with the governor's office, we've had 2 or 3 exchanges now, and they thank me very much and indicated that they have a replacement for the land surveyor position on the board. And they didn't ask who, but it is their privilege to appoint someone. So, and it's been my privilege to serve under their appointment since 1995. And I hope whoever comes in the new person will be able to work with everyone. And one of the things we ought to do, or the new board members should look into is these regulations, of course. I mean, they're outdated. We've been saying that for years, of course, but in particular, the requirements for licensure should be looked at, and things such as 3 years minimum party chief, 1 year instrument man. There are a lot of things that just don't apply to the actual practices for land surveyors today, and it's something that should be the rules and regulations for Connecticut state agencies should be modified.
Right, and from my understanding, I've been raising that issue for a while, and I
Right.
am apparently CALS has taken that on as to trying to come up with a much better suggestion. So we'll see if that committee produces something that we would not be opposed to, for sure, or I would not.
Yeah, yeah. In the meantime, we've been getting by, Tony, and we've talked about this for years with our policies. You know, for
Right.
example, that class 7 application we had today, you know, we've never waived part 1. We've either transferred them to 6 and approved them, or we've just approved them under 7 with no waiver. Either way, the regulation as it's written says we may waive part 1. Doesn't say we have to or that we will. So, and we never have.
Right.
In the 20-something years I've been on board.
As I pointed out for engineering, it's the same thing. And the reason for waiving is if you can find experience that's equivalent. In this day and age, there is no way to find experience that's equivalent to what you're trying to waive. And that was a
Correct.
document I circulated recently. And I think it's the same for surveyors. I think, yes,
Mhm.
as Curtis, as you know, you may waive, but you don't have to. And the argument, of course, is that there's no way you can get equivalent experience with what's going on in the field, both for surveying and engineering today.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's very true.
So we're all in agreement with that, and Kurt's suggestion is correct. We have to sit down together with the new member and go over what we've been doing, review the existing statutes and regulations, and then make it clear as to how we've been doing it and continue to do it until such time as something will change. So, all right.
Well,
Kurt,
good. Thank you. Thank you. It's been a
A
pleasure
sad
serving with all
farewell.
of you.
A sad farewell.
Yeah, bet. All right.
Thanks, Kurt.
Curtis, having
Thanks,
served
Kurt.
with you, Curtis, having served with you for, I guess, close to 3 decades now, I've really enjoyed it. I wish you the best.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, John. Nice of you to say that. Appreciate it. It's been a pleasure serving with you too. You're very detail oriented, John, as one would expect from a structural engineer.
My wife will confirm that. Detail-oriented.
Notice how neat his bookshelf is, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thank you
Kurt,
very much.
sign off.
You bet.
We'll be in touch.
See you, Kurt.
All
We'll
the
talk.
best, Curtis.
All
Try
right.
the best.
Thank you.
Bye, Kurt.
Thanks,
care.
Kurt.
You bet. Take care.
As Barbara and Curtis fade off into the future, we're all jealous. Okay.
Take care,
Yeah.
guys.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, Kurt.
Bye-bye.
All right. So we'll move over to our regular agenda. Continuing our item D, which is just a list of the candidates who have passed the CBT NCWS exam between November and December. One structural, one environmental. So we're moving forward. I reviewed the next 2 applicants for Class 1 Credit Part 1, Adam Serini and Thomas Fay, each with EITs. My recommendation is to approve for Class 1 Credit Part 1. Is there a motion to accept my recommendation?
Make the
I will
motion.
move. Oh. I'll second.
Robin, John, thank you. All those in favor of the motion to approve Serini and Fay, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carried. On page 3 of our agenda at the top, Quinn Decker was listed for review by me. However, it was assigned to Bob Doan, and Bob Doan recommended approval of Quinn Decker. So is there a motion to, well, actually, let me add one more to it. No, I'll take that back. Excuse me. So Bob Doan has recommended approval of Quinn Decker. No. I told you I was having a little trouble keeping track of all the information. Let me start again. Bob Doan made a careful review of Quinn Decker. He has noted very clearly that the applicant has only 3 years and 9 months at Southport Engineering Associates. He would be willing to approve for the April exam if the board is willing to accept proof of continuing employment for that. The experience is very good, but he is, at the time of the application, 3 months short. In the past, we've asked them to sometimes confirm their continued employment prior to the exam. So that's one option. The other option, of course, is to delay. And in my opinion, we should approve.
So what was the time of the application?
I don't have the application, John, but he says that Bob's comments were he has 3 years, 9 months, will have 4 years in April if continued employment with Southport. He said it was okay with him, subject to continued employment, but also okay if denied because he doesn't have the 4 years. It's a matter of whether or not we want to continue that approach.
When would he take the exam?
It would be in April. He's looking to take it in the April exam.
And how do you
Okay.
verify that they're still employed the day
Right.
they take the exam?
Right. So
Wouldn't it be better just to wait 2 months and then approve it?
then he has to wait for the next cycle. I am not clear, John,
Is
on
is
how
there a
the
cycle? Or is it
yeah,
now?
and how the testing cycle goes for those exams. I don't know.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve based on the fact that he is still employed in April.
Right.
That's what
We
Bob suggested, right?
Right. Yes, sir. Is there a second to that motion
I'll
to
second
approve
that.
subject to continued employment with Southport Engineering? All
I'll
those
second that.
second that was who seconded? I'm sorry.
Richard,
Richard. Thank you, Richard. All those in favor of the motion to approve Quinn Decker with the condition that he remains fully employed by the April exam? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries.
Incidentally, my leaving and coming back solved the problem.
Good. You're very clear from my side.
Yeah, but it was so are you now.
Good. Bob Doan also in that same review for Class 1 Credit Part 1 reviewed Jennifer Williams. And he had no qualms about approving Jennifer Williams for Class 1 Credit Part 1. Is there a motion to accept his recommendation?
So move.
Thank you, John. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Rob. All those in favor of Jennifer Williams approval for Class 1 Credit Part 1, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Rob, you reviewed Thomas Fay and Hunter Finneran for Class 1 Credit Part 1.
Yeah, both good references, both good degrees, both EIT and both minimum 4 years experience. So I recommend approval.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Thank you, John. All those in favor of the motion to approve Fay and Finneran for Class 1 Credit Part 1, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. And Richard reviewed Sarah Pellegrini and Derek Steck for Class 1 Credit Part 1.
I'll make a motion that we approve both applicants as they met the requirements.
I'll second.
Thank you, Al. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve Pellegrini and Steck Class 1 Credit Part 1, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. I reviewed the next group of applicants for Class 4 reciprocity on page 3 of our regular agenda. Out of the 9 applicants, all 9 were model law. Only one had a master's. So my recommendation is to approve all the applicants, Adelican through Hayes on page 3 of our regular agenda. Is there a motion to accept my recommendation?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Rob.
Second,
Thank you, John. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. It's also interesting to note that there's some old old graduation, 99, 2000, 96. So they've been around a long time. That's good. All right, next page 4 of our regular agenda, Rob Lewandowski reviewed Bouguet through Leg for class 4 reciprocity.
Yeah, I reviewed all of them. I had 3 non-model law engineers in there. Normally Barbara takes care of me and gives you all the non-model, Tony. So,
Yeah.
But 2 of them were non-model law because of foreign degrees, and they were both reviewed by NCEES and shown as equivalent. The third one, I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure why it's not model law. The degree's good, the experience is good. He was another one, Tony, that was a real old degree. Is there does NCEES not go back 30 plus years?
A couple of times there's been discussion that a program isn't or wasn't at the time accredited, but I'm not aware that there's a time frame on that, unless Barbara has some input that she recalls.
Yeah, because it's University of Kentucky in 1985.
What's the degree?
Bachelor's in civil engineering.
Oh, that should, there's something in my mind about that, but I don't remember the details. But often when a new program is developed, it takes a while before they get accredited. And once they're accredited, then we can go back and approve earlier graduates.
I mean, it is accredited on the evaluation form. I assume that's accredited back then and currently, I guess.
Rob, the one of the applications that Bob Doan reviewed noted a non-model law due to a disciplinary action. So if you have some kind of an infraction, some states will record it, then they suddenly become non-model law.
Okay, there was a disciplinary action.
Yeah,
that was resolved.
Right. So that's what NCAAS does. They knock them off the list.
Okay. Yeah, it was resolved with a settlement, a pretty minor settlement, a consent agreement. So I guess that must have been what it is. So
was that also Kentucky?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So outside of that, all of them are model law engineers. All of them, including the non-model law, good experience, good degrees. So I recommend approval for them all.
Thank you for the discussion. Is there a second?
Second,
Al, you're coming into focus now, Al.
That's because I'm sitting here playing with it.
Richard, was that a second?
Trying to figure it out, Every time I log on, there's another rev,
Yeah. All those in favor of the motion to approve Bouguet through Leg on page 4 of our regular agenda for reciprocity, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. And Richard reviewed viewing through rakes on page 4 of 8 of our regular agenda for class 4 reciprocity.
I guess there's one person that I have a problem with, and then again, I'm not really sure if it's a problem, is Mr. James Olagwin. In terms of, he graduated from Cornell in 1983. He's not NCEES certified, or he's not part of NCEES. And The only thing that he doesn't have is he doesn't have a he got his fundamentals and principles out of Virginia, but he doesn't have, I guess, any documentation from the state of Virginia that he, that he's been, I guess he got his degrees, or he got his registration in Virginia. But he does have, I guess, letters that were sent to him at the time that he says he got, he passed the EIT and the, principles. But it's letters that were sent to him from, it appears, from the state of Virginia, but we don't have any real documentation from the state of Virginia that it's been confirmed.
Well, then you can table him and ask him to provide it.
Yeah, because like you said, I guess right now he's registered in Massachusetts and he doesn't have a registry in Virginia.
He doesn't have to have a registration in Virginia if he has a
Right.
current license in
But-
Massachusetts.
Yeah, but normally Virginia would send us, their verification that he had, passed all the exams in the state of Virginia. And I guess he sent us letters that he received at the time that he says that he passed the exams, but we don't have anything directly from the state of Virginia.
All right, so then that's fair to ask for it. That's all. Yeah.
Correct.
Is he on the normal with the one-page form?
Richard said he didn't have an NCAAS
He's
summary.
not NCAAS certified, so that he filled out the entire form and he has, 34 years of experience. And, but he doesn't, like you said, he has letters that he received from the Commonwealth of Virginia, dated, January 12th, 1990. And
Barbara, this is the situation where normally you would have had to try to verify for him. Is that correct? All right, we lost Barbara.
She's
but-
got herself muted out. Here she comes.
I'm back. Yeah, we would. We could always verify that information if you want to do the subject too. Jane can do that.
Okay,
If that
yeah,
works.
I mean, if we can verify that, from the state of Virginia, that he is, does have.
he claims that he had
registered in
both
that state.
exams in Virginia, so therefore we're asking Virginia to verify that's the case.
Correct.
Okay, so is that your motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion that we, have Virginia, the state of Commonwealth of Virginia, verify
Okay.
that he did pass the exams in the Commonwealth.
So that's the motion. Is there a second to the motion?
Are we tabling it or are we
No,
approving contingent?
Contingent.
Right, because
I'll second it.
Okay, so the process of verification though would come, our board has to request it from Virginia, or do we ask him to do it?
Oh, he does it.
That the process?
yeah, because he has a letter in here, or actually he has some emails that he sent back and forth, and he says that he asked the state of Massachusetts to confirm, that he's certified, but the state of Massachusetts, is reciprocity, so they can't confirm that.
Right, he's not applying to Massachusetts, he's applying to Connecticut, so either he applies, he provides it, or we have to find it from another source. That puts the burden on our board staff to verify.
Right,
And he can then do what everybody else does, go to NCAAS and have it verified.
correct, yeah.
I would make the motion to require him to provide verification that he passed both exams under NCAAS.
Correct, from the state of Commonwealth of Virginia.
Again, I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion to require the applicant, James O'Laughlin, to provide proof of passing the exams in the Commonwealth of Virginia. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
And that
Any
assumes
opposed?
is the assumption if he does provide it, he's approved, right?
Correct, yes. Yes, because that's the only thing that's lacking in terms of,
Okay,
and I will make a motion that we approve the other applicants in terms of, there was one gentleman who had 2 misdemeanors, one where he had an open fireplace while camping, and he wasn't allowed to have a fire. And then he had a misunderstanding with a bouncer at a club or something. I'm not really sure. But it seems like minor things. And I did have one non-model law who got his degree out of Cuba, but it was deemed equivalent. So in that sense, I will make a motion and we approve the remainder of the applicants.
all right. Is there a second?
I'll
Second,
second.
Thank you, Rob. All those in favor of the motion to approve Ewing through Mull and Perez through Rakes, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. That was good, healthy discussion there, Richard. Now, I reviewed, or I didn't review, I'm going to transfer the recommendations of Robert Doan for the applications that he reviewed for Class 4 reciprocity. Those are included on page 5 of our regular agenda, from Mary to Young. There are 11 applicants. 8 of the 11 are model law. There was 1 technical degree, but he has 26 years of experience. There was 1 non-model law due to a disciplinary action, but very good experience. And the other one, Jared Mary, was a technical degree also with 12 years and 11 months of experience. So Robert's recommendation is to approve all the applicants, Mary through Young, on page 5 of our regular agenda. Is there a motion to accept his recommendation?
I'll
So
make the
moved.
Thank you, Rob. And thank you, Richard. Moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion to approve Mary through Young, say aye.
aye,
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Then we have a list of applicants for the Class 9 licenses, those who have passed Brecher through Swope on page 5 of our regular agenda. The motion to approve the licenses for those applicants.
so move.
Thank you, John.
Second.
Thank you, Richard. All those in favor of the motion to approve licenses for Brecher through Swope, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Should we have
opposed?
included, should we have included the one on the next page?
If I miss it, absolutely. So we'll make that a separate motion.
Okay, aye.
Or I guess. So it's been moved and seconded and approved that we approve Brecher through Swope. Is there a motion to approve Samuel Olson for Class 9 license from Yukon?
So
I'll
moved.
continue my motion.
Thank you, John.
Second, then.
Thank you, Richard. All those in favor of the motion to approve Samuel Olson, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Now, we do have a supplemental agenda, and this is where I kind of fall apart because I don't have any additional information from Bob Doan. He reviewed Petricola, Vara, and Venturella for Class 4 reciprocity. And similarly, I'm not aware, and I couldn't find Abreu or Cooley for Class 4 reciprocity on my list. So the next question is, what do we do with that, other than table till the next meeting? Well, Bob Doan's is out of commission right now, so we can't ask him to review offhand. Rob, did you receive copies of Dominic, Hire, and Hitter?
I did.
Okay. Can you make a motion on those?
Yep, I reviewed them. They're all model law, all good degree, all good experience, so I recommend approval.
The second?
Second.
Thank you, John. All those in favor of the motion to approve Dominic, Hire, and Hitter for reciprocity under Class 4, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing on that motion carries. Then we had Leach, Lombardo, and Moni reviewed by Richard Swezak for those.
And I did
class four
review them.
reciprocity.
And I did, the only comment I have is Michael Lombardo received his degree from Hofstra University in 2007. And he worked for a firm until March 2013. And then he started his own firm in 2013, and he's been a principal of that firm for the past 9 years. You know, I read the description of what he was doing. He was designing scaffolding and, you know, rigging and things like that in the state of New York. And he is NCAAS, you know, reviewed, but they did not give him any credit for engineering during those 9 years where he's part of his own entity. And it seemed to me to be kind of strange that, you know, if you're doing engineering work, you should get, I guess, have at least, you know, some added experience on your record. But right now, he only
Where is he currently licensed?
He's currently licensed in New York.
So what you're saying is the record that he provided for review didn't include anything.
Well,
the
it
way of
did, in
experience?
terms of, you know, in terms of, let me go back one page, hold on. Because, you know, because he says he's president of Lombardo Professional Engineering, overseeing all engineering projects performed by my project managers while handling my own workload. Projects ranging from crane placement, interior rigging, below hook analysis, custom hoisting systems, prototype analysis of equipment proposed for use in New York City, support of excavation design and analysis, soil analysis, structural analysis of timber, concrete, steel, formwork systems, shoring systems, reshoring systems, anchorage systems for fall arrest and safety harnesses, suspended scaffolding systems, built-up scaffolds, horizontal and vertical netting systems, concrete pumps, knuckle booms, man lifts, pile driving equipment analysis, you know, New York CTA subway structure load imposed analysis for various equipment types, welding calculations, bolting calculations, expansion.
All right. We got it.
But and then he goes on and on and on for another
so
3 paragraphs. It's like, oh my God.
Two things.
But they don't give him any experience for, you know, between March 2013 and December 22nd. And I'm of December of 2022. So I'm over there, you know, that doesn't make any sense in terms of.
Well, my impression would be that if he's licensed for hoisting in New York, he's been quite successful. And if he's registered in New York,
right,
and he has a degree, and he's working for himself, I don't see any reason why you can't.
Right. Well,
justify.
I did, like you said, because I looked at it, you know, because he has, you know, he should have like almost, you know, 13 years of experience instead of 5, and that just caught my eye when he only had 5 years experience. I'm over there. What was he doing for the past 8 years? And then
Well, they put it under direct supervision, and you can't be under direct supervision if you're operating as an individual.
Right. But normally they would say that it was engineering experience, but I'm not sure why. So, but anyways, I'll make a motion that we approve all 3 of them. I just wanted to sort of run that by the board.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Rob. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion to approve Leach, Lombardo, and Moni, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing on that, motion carries. If whoever could send the applications for a brew, Cooley, Petricola, Vera, and Venturella, I'd be glad to review them offline and send a recommendation if you wanted to do it that way for a class 4 reciprocity. But I don't have them.
All right. Hi there, this is Jane. So I did send them to you Monday morning around 9:40, the 2 for you. So I have the Mr. Cooley, he works at the DOT and he's anxious to get his license. So do you want me to forward them to you now?
Jane, if
Okay.
if it came from you, I'll go look and see. Well,
I mean, I can send them to
we
you
can
right
take
now.
we can take an email vote on this. The reciprocity applications, if they're in order, I'll review them and I'll send out a note and we can make it official. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
John,
Yes,
John,
absolutely.
Richard?
Yep.
Okay, so Jane, if you don't mind sending all 5 back to me, and by midday, I'll have them done.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Then I'll send it out to everybody else and we can agree or not agree. Okay? And then we have, let's see if I missed anything.
The reinstatement.
Yeah, we got a reinstatement. I just want to make sure I didn't miss one on the regular agenda. So we have one reinstatement that Richard reviewed for D. Stefanis, new application, continuously licensed in another state, not signed any in Connecticut.
And I'll make him, again, I reviewed his application and everything was in order. He has 46 years of experience. The only thing I found a little strange is that his license lapsed in 2007 and he said it was I guess a missing address error or something, or mailing address error. And I'm over there, well, you know, we're just next door to you, and you know, and maybe he just didn't miss the state of Connecticut. He was doing work in Maryland and in a lot of other states, so
Right.
he probably just didn't miss us. But you know, it seemed like a long time to not have a license for 15 years and then finally wake up and said, "Oh, what happened?" But anyways, I'll make a motion that we accept the application from Carl to Stephanus.
For a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, John. All those in favor of the motion to reinstate Mr. D. Stefanis, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. So I will review the 5 applications if that's acceptable. I'll report back to the members. We can make a confirmation review or vote. And then I'll return that back to Jane. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Is there any other
good.
business to address? If not, I'll turn the microphone over to Al Regina.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Rob. All those in
Tony,
favor of the
quick
motion?
question.
Yes, sir.
When we hear from the governor's office, who's been appointed, can you let me know so I can tell Bob Barron one way or another whether he?
Yes, sir. If it wasn't, if Bob doesn't know, then I guess it wasn't Bob. No, but I will.
I haven't.
I don't
spoke to
know.
him
I
since
actually
last
don't
week.
know the process. I've been following the emails to Kurt. So maybe Jane can assist in making sure that we get that information if and when it's available. And maybe
Thank
just
you.
send, well, obviously you can send a notice to all of us because
Yeah.
it's part of our board.
Yes, if I hear anything, I will let you know.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. All right. So all those in favor of the motion to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And our next meeting is February 7th. Just a few days away. Barbara? You
Is
still
that-
with us?
This is it.
This is the day? This is it?
Yep.
You got your horse saddled up outside, right off into the
Almost
sunset?
just ready to clean out the dust, and just Jane did her thing. So it was a pleasure working with all of you.
Think they're gonna let you out the
Thank
door
you,
this time?
Barbara.
We're hoping. We're gonna try to clean everything up, and you know, Jane's doing okay. So help her along, and you guys will do just fine.
Well, thank you for everything.
All
Thanks,
right.
Barbara.
Thank
You guys
you.
were a pleasure
Barbara.
to work with.
I think we need to do some cocktails somewhere.
That would be lovely.
I'll second it.
Okay, we'll
All
set
right.
it up. All
All
right,
right.
thanks, everybody.
All right.
Thank
Take
you.
care, guys.
Thank you,
Goodbye.
Barbara.
All right, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, guys.